Reggie here, your fellow neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. We had a minor technical glitch there, but I think we have things resolved. That's what happens when you decide to do an impromptu last minute live stream and your comic book room is a hot mess. So it is good to see you guys. This news just came out a short while ago, maybe 15 minutes or so. This news actually broke, maybe 17. So it is relatively hot off the presses. Hopefully you guys can actually hear me. Can everybody hear me? Can you see me? How many fingers do I have up? Let's play that game. Oh, I wish I had muscles. Perry, brother, I am thinning out by the moment. Let me tell you, I haven't been to the gym in quite some time. I've had a bunch of other stuff going on. So there we go. We got 6 fingers, we got 12. I got 4 toes in the air. So it is good to see you guys. So some breaking news, and people know what side my bread is buttered on when it comes to grading companies, right? We all have our preferences for what we like, but whenever possible, to be able to provide some coverage for something that isn't even in my wheelhouse, I still want to take a couple of moments to raise the awareness and to make you guys aware. So shout out to from heroes to icons. He says, wiggle my fingers. Shout out to my buddy from Heroes to Icons who hit me with this message a short while ago. Some news from CBCS. CBCS has now made, I think, a very important announcement for comic book collectors. And maybe it is a sign that there's actually going to be some competition in the marketplace. Maybe this is a sign, right? And you guys have heard me that have been following this channel for a while. No, I am a big fan of competition. I think that competition serves everyone well. It serves the companies that are involved in the situation, and it certainly benefits the consumer from having some price constraints, from having some points of differentiation, from having competitors compete against one another, and ultimately, hopefully, bring forth the best services that are possible. And it also gives the consumer the ability to choose, to have some options for things, right? And I think that that's what's great. That's why we've supported EGS, and some of the things that they've been doing is to give them some support so that we all can benefit from it. So without any further ado, Gumbo213, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Ariel in the house. Oh, let me say hello to people. I forgot to do that. I was so wrapped up in my technical glitches. Perry Comics is in the house. Backstreet Driver, my man, 5280. Cuz Buzz, Comic Book Gallery, Gorilla Grodd. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Tyler is in the house from Heroes to Icons, who I was just talking with on Instagram. James Tomlinson. Yon T is in the house. John is in here. Who else? Connecting Comics is in the house. Bear Island Comics, bro. That dude, Bear Island Comics, has a wicked sense of humor that I enjoy. If you guys aren't checking him out, I would definitely want to encourage you to do that. I think he has a contest going on right now. So check him out. Unruly Simeon is in the house. Michael is here. S. Canage, I guess that's how you say it, is in here. Who else? Mark's Madness. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you, my man. He says the stream looks good. So there you go. Collecto 6 is in the house. Randy is in the house. Tina, how you doing? Oh yeah, I saw We Love Comics going live at the same time, so it's definitely a duel off here. Brett Hess Art, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Good to chat with you as always. Anthony is in the house. Nathan is here. Eternal Thunder. It is good to see all of you comic book soldiers in here on a I don't even know what today is. Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon, something like that. So we have some breaking news, and this is in the spirit of competition and supporting a capitalist society. CBCS broke some news today, just a short while ago, maybe 17 minutes or so, 20 minutes now that I've been rambling. They are happy to announce that CBCS is now at a 6-week turnaround time. 6-week turnaround time for comics that are actually sent to CBCS. They say submit your comics today and receive a turnaround time of 6 weeks after being received by our Dallas office. So I think that that is very good news. Unfortunately, there are no more details in here. It is a very short email. I was actually hoping for some additional details, whether The 6-week turnaround time included cleaning and pressing and signature authentication. It may just be for grading of comics. It's not quite clear to me. And I may actually send them a message to see if I can get some additional details. I did a search online. I got this email from Heroes to Icons, and I was trying to see if there was some more substantive information out there, and there does not appear to be. But with that said, it is cool that CBCS is starting to move in the right direction. One of the biggest complaints that people have had about CBCS is their turnaround time. And some of that was attributed to the fact that they were bought by someone. They were then relocated from Florida to Dallas, and then they were playing catch up. They were under the gun. They were definitely under the gun. And so I think that they are now maybe able to see some deadlight or deadlight, some daylight, some headlights, see some daylight. And maybe they've staffed themselves up, right? Because I'm guessing when you move from Florida to Texas, you lose some people. So maybe they've staffed up appropriately. Maybe they have the resources that they need. The good news for all of us, right? For all of us, whether you are a CBCS person or not, the good news for all of us is that there is competition in the market. And now you have at least two major players, right? And then some less than major players that are out there doing some things for the comic book community. So again, for those that are joining late, because I know that there's some more people that have kind of flowed in here, CBCS is now at a 6-week turnaround time for comics. So if you submit your books, you can get a turnaround time of 6 weeks after they've been received. Here is my assumption. My assumption is that you're going to send your books in. The books will be in limbo for about a week or something like that. And then once that limbo period ends of about a week, then the 6-week will start, right? Because they're gonna have to gate, if you will, the influx of books that are gonna come in. So they use a couple of days there, let's say a week of 5 days business time to kind of gate things before pushing them out into the system. So my assumption is that it's really going to be probably like a 7-week turnaround time. But that is pure assumption on my part. As far as assumptions go, what I don't know is whether this is just for grading. I'm not certain whether it includes the cleaning, the pressing, the signature verification. I don't know if it includes all of those services or if it is just grading. It would be perfect if it's everything. Send your book in, clean, pressed, it's been signed. They do the verification, 6 weeks, it is graded, encapsulated, and is sent out to you. That would be perfect. But what I don't know, again, because of the brevity of the email that was sent out, there is no real detail here. So what they do say is that if you have questions, please contact customer service at cbcscomics.com, customer service at cbcscomics.com. So I may send them an email because I'm curious. I want some additional details about the turnaround time so that I can bring this to you guys because I think it's really cool. So let me see. Cameron says, wow, 6 weeks is amazing. I think someone else had a comment in here. Unruly Simeon is making a comment here about CBS having a stricter grading. James Tomlinson is basically making the comment that he wished that CGC actually had signature verification. We actually talked about that. And on one of the live streams that I did with CGC, my suspicion before the live stream was that they viewed it as being risky, right? Because if you get one signature wrong, everything starts to unravel. The ball of yarn starts to unravel. And I think what CGC has decided is that it's not in their best interest to offer that. But I can tell you, for personally, when I was originally considering which grading company I wanted to go with, I was doing a side-by-side comparison of CGC and CBCS. I was doing a side-by-side comparison. And one of the big differentiators for me was the signature verification that CBCS offered. And I almost went with CBCS, almost pulled the trigger. There were two things. They had signature verification, and at the time they had no membership fees. And I as a person that was still relatively newly back to the hobby and certainly new to graded comics, avoiding membership fees was like super attractive. And like as I went like 2 weeks where I was still kind of noodling it. And in that second week, they then announced that they were putting a membership fee in place. And so now things are okay. I can get a verified signature or I cannot get one. Membership fees were basically the same. And so I pulled the trigger with CGC and haven't looked back. But I think that CBCS is a solid company. There's no doubt about that. So, scrolling through some of the comments here, Connecting Comics says his CGC books current status turned them in at ECC on 328 signature series. Wow. And they've been received. Yeah, there you go. They do wait a little bit. They do wait a little bit before they actually intake the books. And I have some that were sitting there for almost a week. And I actually had to reach out because I was worried. I knew that they received them, but I was like, hey, so can we put these in the system so I can feel better? And like a day later, they popped up in the system. So I'm scrolling through the comments. I'm scrolling up because I missed some things. 6-week lead time should be the standard. Here is Gumbo 213. He says 6-week lead time should be the standard if they want to separate themselves from CGC. Might want to set a new trend by hitting realistic lead times. Well said, Gumbo 213. Well said. Bear Island Comics says that's a strong play by CBCS. Yeah. So here's the thing is that is one of our biggest complaints as collectors is the turnaround time, right? Good, fast, cheap, pick two. Good, fast, cheap, pick two. Isn't that the saying, right? And there are always trade-offs for things, right? If you want it cheap, it might not be good. If you want it fast, it might not be good. So there are definitely some trade-offs when you focus on one aspect of anything. There are trade-offs, but I think that it is definitely a strong play by CBCS because it is one of the major complaints that we as competitors have, that being turnaround time. I send my books in. I need you to get the books. I need you to receive them. I need you to do what you're going to do and then send my stuff back to me. And they are making a strong play for 6 weeks. My only issue is that there's a lack of detail here in this email. Now, in all fairness, CGC does the same thing. CGC sends out messages. They used to. I don't know about now, but they used to send out these messages. I would have so many questions like, okay, cool. That's a great fact. Can I get some meat on that bone? And so that's what this one is that it looks good, but I need some more detail, some substance to this. But just as a headline, it's solid. As a headline, it's solid. It says good news in store for all comic book collectors. That was the subject line, right? And then it goes on to say CBCS is now at a 6-week turnaround time, which I think is which is fantastic. I am going to show this comment here, Nathan McCall. Even CGC's process with SIGs is a major pain. It's a guarantee to be authentic, not confident in CBCS as SIGs go. Yeah, I mean, and that's the challenge, right? It's again, there are trade-offs for every decision. There are trade-offs, right? So CGC has basically decided that they're not going to do verification because of the risk associated with getting it wrong. They would prefer that things be witnessed, but there's issues with witnessing, right? I've heard people that have had books signed by an author and the witness, actually was looking the other way or wasn't quite paying attention. And there's problems with any process that is put in place. There is always problems. And people have asked me, people, especially lately, have asked me to do comparison videos between CGC, CBCS, and PGX. And I haven't done them. And I haven't done them for several reasons, because I think that, one, I'm a little biased, in all fairness. As evidenced by the books that are on the wall. I think there's a couple of CBCS back there, especially in the middle right there with the X-Men stuff. But I am a little biased, and there's no doubt about that. But I also, and I think that this is the bigger point, is that I have zero experience with PGX or CBCS. I've never sent a book to either company. And I think that there is a plethora of videos on YouTube where people can actually do these searches for themselves and to be able to see various people's perspectives on the different grading companies. I mean, I've seen people that have taken one book, send it to a grading company, had it graded, come back, send it to the next one, have it come back, send it to the next one, and then they do a comparison. I've seen people take, 3 copies of the same book and send all 3 out to different grading companies to see how fast they do it, then ultimately what the grades are. I've seen every combination of comparison imaginable. Like back when I was doing my original research, I did a ton of that. And even now, people are still doing those comparisons. And I just don't have an appetite for that. I just don't have an appetite for that kind of project. But there is a plethora. There is a plethora of videos online that actually walk through all of that stuff. So if anyone is ever curious about how one company compares to another, I mean, you can either do your own research or you can watch some of these videos. For me, what I ended up doing was I did a pro con list. I did a pro con list of the two. I watched a ton of videos, and then I just made a decision based upon my gut, and my gut told me that CGC was the way to go. And again, I don't regret that. But there you go. Goomba 213 basically says, good, fast, cheap, pick 2. That's all you get. I'm telling you, pick 2, because you can only have 2. Tina, Rye is in a box. Rye is in a box. I actually took Rye down the other day because I was actually going to replace the entire wall with X-Men. I was going to go all X-Men. And then what I realized was, one, I didn't have enough X-Men slabs to do the whole wall. So that was the first problem. The second problem is I realized on that bottom row that it was all Kirby. And it was mostly Kirby. And so I actually swapped out the Machine Man for another book to make the entire bottom row all Kirby related. And then the top is all X-Men related. So I was thinking a lot about X-Men. I was reading a couple of X-Men books and I got inspired to do an X-Men wall. That's basically what that was. So Rye is actually in a box behind me over there. Oh, I actually saw another note on here that I guess CBCS is also now available in Canada. I think it's available in Canada now. I saw somebody talking about the UK. Can't get anything slabbed in the UK, says GP Venom. But I thought CGC actually had a UK office. I thought they actually had a UK office. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Scrolling through some of the comments, seeing here, slip the witness a donut. Perry Comics, you're a nut. You're a nut. So women. Oh yeah. See, Christopher Joy is making a point here that ETA Nick has a great Versus series. I'm a big fan of ETA Nick. I used to watch a lot of his stuff before I started even doing any YouTube videos. I watched a lot of his stuff, and Chris is saying here that ETA Nick actually has a Versus series where I'm guessing he's doing a cross comparison of the various companies. So I definitely encourage people to check that out, because there's a ton of stuff out there, available on those things. And then Luke here is actually saying that yes, CGC actually has a UK office. I'm guessing the prices are similar. I don't know, but I thought a few months ago, maybe even 6 months ago or longer, they announced that a UK office was opening. And I don't know whether they bundle the stuff up and send it to the US for grading, or whether they actually have grading services in the UK. Ideally, they would have grading services in the UK that are separate from here. I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were having this whole debate about whether CGC should actually move itself to the middle of the country, because that would be fantastic. It would cut down on shipping times and everything, right? Move to like Texas or something like that instead of Florida. Florida's great, but you have the hurricanes, you have the bad weather, you have the extra time it takes to get down to that part of Florida. I used to live over there. But yeah, Texas would be great. California would be perfect. Wolf Mode 88 says he only buys and sends to CBCS. And there you go. I think everyone has their preferences, and I think that's what's great about competition, is that everyone has their preferences. Everyone can decide what is best for them and what works for them, right? And whether, I know some people love PGX. People are like, I send all my stuff personally for my collection to PGX. I think that's perfect. PGX is not my company. CBCS is not my company. But, I think that it's nice when we have options. That's why you have EGS and you have, I think it's Halo. That's another one. I think options are really important. James Tomlinson said, I would rather get accurate and fast. Cheap is relative. You get what you pay for. Mic drop. Mic drop, James. That's legit, bro. That's legit. That's legit. I would probably have accurate and fast. I would probably go with that. Cheap is a relative term, and I am a big fan of spending extra money to have better service, to have better experience, to have a better quality product. I remember back when I was a sales rep, I used to get tailor-made shirts, and I would get tailor-made shirts and they would be expensive. And people are like, well, why would you do that? Well, if you go to like a discount store, and I'm making this up, right? Discount store and get a dress shirt, you can wear that dress shirt for like a couple of months before it starts to look worn, right? I had custom shirts that were, expensive, but I wore them for like 5 years and they still look brand new. And I mean, that's dry cleaning, that's wearing them on a regular. You get what you pay for, and sometimes it pays to spend a couple of extra bucks. But again, everyone has to decide good, fast, or cheap. What's important to them? I may have to change the name of this video to good, fast, or cheap. You guys are having a conversation about UK. Very good, very good. So hopefully you guys can figure all that stuff out. Perry Comics says, just send me the books. He says he'll for $5 and he'll hand deliver them down to Sarasota. That's what's up. That's customer service, bro. Will you wear white gloves, Perry? Will you wear white gloves when you deliver them in? Mightiest of Matt says he personally uses CBCS, but will buy CGC, but he stays away from PGX. And again, you guys know I'm a fan of this. There is no wrong answer. There's no wrong answer. Whatever works for you, that works. Whatever works for you works. And I've purchased CBCS books back when I was still deciding which grading company I wanted to go with. I was purchasing both CGC and CBCS. And I don't think, since I've made the decision, I have not purchased a single CBCS book that I can think of. I think every single book that I've purchased since I've made that decision. And for me, it's a little OCD. Like, I like to look in there and I like to see all the cases look the same. I like them to be the same size, the same thickness. That gives me comfort. So it's not that I don't like CBCS and won't buy CBCS. It's more that I find comfort in the CGC, the uniform nature of a thing is something that I find enjoyment in. And I have a feeling that as you guys watch this, a couple of you are probably smiling and or nodding because you understand where I'm coming from. Brian, how you doing? How you doing? I'm gonna get some shirts that say 1G. I'm telling you, I'm gonna get some shirts and they're gonna be like 1G, and on the back is gonna be the given. Oh, I have something dope coming through. I have something dope coming through. I cannot wait until it gets here so I can do an unboxing for you guys. Yes, sir. Let me see. So EGS is doing different colored labels. I don't know. I need to look into that. I know he had an announcement, Eddie, the other day, and I did not get a chance to watch it, and I haven't had a chance to go back. I was actually doing some consulting, if you will, for EGS back before they launched. I was behind the scenes helping them figure a couple of things out. I was working with some other guy that was actually doing some of the design work for their labels, and it was really, really fun. This was all like free stuff that I was doing just because I got a kick out of it, but I missed their announcement the other day. So I need to go back and watch the replay of that video to see what the announcement was, because I honestly don't know. What is this? If CBCS had the same cases as CGC, would you switch to CBCS? No, I wouldn't, because it's not just about the case, right? It's not just about the case. Again, I've made a 2-year investment in CGC. I've made a 2-year investment in them. I've gotten to know them as individuals beyond just being the grading company. I've got to know them as individuals, right? And so I don't know if I would switch if it were the same case, because it's not just about the case. I mean, I was doing that kind of tongue-in-cheek, talking about the case and the uniform nature, but I like the services that are offered by CGC. I like how they do things. I'm accustomed to, going inside their portal and doing what it is that has to be done. I've gotten to know the billing people. Like Barbara is my billing person. Whenever I have a problem, I reach out to Barbara and Barbara straightens it all out. I've gotten to know some of the people, not for no other reason than I'm a consumer that sends books in. and the fact that I've had these guys on the channel a couple of times to interview them. I've met some of them in person. It's just cool. But again, I am slightly biased because I've gotten to know them, but also because I've been sending books to them for 2 years. So um Good as Gold says, I will only buy raw books, but if he wanted to sell them, he would go CGC. There you go. There you go. I have only 3 CGC slabs that he bought on sale, says Clay. Scrolling through, Tina saying all of her slabs are CGC and they are all fire, Tina. Oh, here we go. So Perry Comics responds. He says, white rubber gloves lint free. That's what's up, my man. That is what's up. No, that's good stuff. CGC registry is awesome. Been on it since 2016. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the other big things that, I wonder if it will change with time, this idea of the registry. And that's something that I've talked about recently in one of the videos with decision making based upon CGC census data, given that is only, one third of the somewhat one third of the overall market, right? It would be nice if CBCS and PGX also announced that they had a registry, because I think that would give you a better idea of what is happening in the overall market in terms of sheer number of books that are available, right? So we know that, for example, there are 10,000 copies of Hope 181, but that's on the CGC census. We don't know about CBCS books or PGX books or Halo books, right? We have no clue. There could be another 10,000 on each one of those services for us all that we know. So, but I mean, one could assume that because CGC is the market leader when it comes to third-party grading products, that we can assume that the bulk of books are probably sitting with CGC, but what percent sits with the other players? We don't know that. And it would be cool to kind of know that. CGC does have good service, says Proism. I think that's how you say it, Proism. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Who is that? IMJ says he used PGX once, had it converted to CGC. It was I think it's Daredevil 1. I think that's what that is. Signature series, maybe. Mobius, how you doing? Love CGC. The new cases can cause damage in some cases that he's seen. How so? How, Nathan? Nathan is making a comment here that CGC cases, he likes them, but they can cause damage. I'm curious what kind of damage that could be. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Scrolling through. If you guys have comments, throw them in caps for me. It helps my old eyes. All right, so there's a lot of people here that have just joined recently. So I want to announce this news one more time for those that have come in a little bit late, so that you guys don't have to go back and rewatch this thing from the very beginning, unless you want to, right? And certainly shout out to anyone that gives a thumbs up on this video. I absolutely appreciate it. So here is the breaking news. And the headline for this email that from Heroes to Icons sent me was "Good news in store for all comic book collectors." It says, "We are happy to announce that CBCS is now at 6 weeks turnaround time." 6 weeks turnaround time. They go on to say, submit your books today and receive a turnaround time of 6 weeks after being received by our Dallas office. And I think that this is really good news for the comic book community, for the market as a whole, that CBCS is starting to acknowledge what has been a problem for them in the past, that being the turnaround time of books that are sent to them. I think 6 weeks is super aggressive, but I wish them luck, because I think that this could potentially set a new standard. You look at EGS, and EGS is actually, I think they have like a 14-day turnaround time or something like that. It could be, I don't know where it is lately, but originally it was about 14 days turnaround time, which is super aggressive, right? And maybe, with CBCS trying to say 6 weeks, maybe we'll have, a new standard. Maybe we'll see some shifting towards faster turnaround times. Good, fast, cheap. Figure it out. Pick two. Have you seen the comic skin slab it yourself kits? Yeah, Nathan. So I've definitely seen those. I actually did a little bit of research on those, and I've never, I guess I have used them because EGS actually slabs some books for me, and EGS actually uses the comic skin slabs. So I have played around with them, and I think they're really cool. Compton's Comics and Collectibles. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Thank you for joining the live chat. Scrolling through, trying to see just Pele. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my man. Pele, what do you use? PGX, CBCS, or CGC? Which one do you use? Just Pele, if memory serves, either owns a comic shop, works in a comic shop, has some connections to a comic shop. So I'm curious what he is doing down there. Daniel Yerba says he got his CBCS books faster than 6 weeks. That is excellent. I mean, anytime someone does something faster, you never hear anybody, complain. Oh, it's too fast. No one says that. No one, you're too fast. Well, never mind. So scrolling through some of the comics, Playtime Comics is in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. We love comics. Chris is here. Oh no, brother. As I was hitting the button, Chris, I saw yours pop up as well, brother. So it happens, my man. That's the problem with live streams in general. There is no good free time to actually go live because there is always somebody out there going live. So I definitely apologize for that, my brother. It happens, Chris. Chris is a really good dude. If you guys don't know, We Love Comics is an awesome dude putting out fantastic content. And now I'm going to have to tag you in the comments, Chris, because people have said to me, anytime you talk about somebody, can you make sure you put a link to their channel in the description? So I have to do that because people several times have sent me messages like, Reggie, can you please tell us who you're talking about? Put a link. So I'll have to do that when this thing wraps up. CGC slabs with oversized comics and not encased properly will cause damage to the book. A little agitated with CGC right now. So I would definitely reach out to them, bro. Reach out to them. Have a conversation. Almost every time I've had somebody reach out to CGC because of a problem, I believe that most people have walked away being satisfied with how CGC has handled something. And so, if you are upset with them, I would encourage you to reach out and have a conversation and see if they can make it right. And if they don't, then that tells you something too. I am Ramos, I think the Ultimate Pro Self Slab is a great UV protection and magnetic seal. He loves them. Yep, I think there's nothing wrong with these self slabbing kits. Just Pele says he uses CGC for selling, CBCS for his PC, and yeah, he owns a shop. Thank you, brother. Compton's Comics and Collectibles says he's a CGC guy. John says he's CGC. Webhead is in the house. How you doing, brother? Oh man, I lost it. Somebody was saying they did a crossover. Somebody said they did a crossover. I lost it. Oh, here we go. Chris Bigger says he did the crossover with CGC. He sent a Fantastic 452 that was graded a 6.0. Came back. Ooh, that hurt my heart. Ooh, Chris Bigger. Sorry, brother. He sent in a which one? Who had the first one? Sent in a Fantastic 452. It was graded a 6.0. Came back a 4.0. Who originally slabbed it? Was it PGX or was it CBCS? I'm just curious. Hopefully, I'll be able to follow that comment when you respond back. Sorry. To be honest, as great as CGC is, their grading is silly. My giant size X-Men 1 looks like a 9.4 and is a 9.0. Yet my X-Men 137 is a 9.8 and looks like a 9.2. Brother, send both of those books to me and I will compensate you at the lowest value for whatever grade. I'm teasing. The one thing that I've learned about grading comics is that it is a mixture of art and science. And the science is pretty clear, but it's the artistic side that allows for subjectivity. And so I think we always have to take things with a grain of salt when it comes to the grading of comics, right? Because it is subjective. And I did some early videos on this where I actually talked about it and I compared it to bodybuilding. Because believe it or not, grading comics and bodybuilding are very similar. Both of them are subjective. At the end of the day, you have two things that are in front of you that look good, that look a certain way. And someone is sitting there observing that thing and making a judgment call on basically what is being seen. On one side, you are looking for symmetry and balance and muscle definition and tone, right? And proportion. On the other side, you're looking for rips, tears, defects, et cetera, et cetera. But in both cases, it is a subjective evaluation of two things that are in front of a person, and people are fallible. And so at the end of the day, we are choosing to submit ourselves to a subjective process. And I'm not making excuses. Please don't take it that way. But what I am trying to do is to provide some additional context. There are a lot of people that basically are like, I don't send my books in to be graded. They don't want anything to do with the grading process because they don't care. They don't care about the subjective nature of the book. They just want the book in a top loader, blah, 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 blah. And that's good for them, right? But, you are submitting yourself to a subjective process, and that has to be taken with a little bit of grain of salt. So, um, Ghost Host Memories is in the house. So I did a video that I released yesterday. I released two videos yesterday. I think both were pretty cool, but one of them was on the power of comic books. And my man Ghost Host Memory posted up this super vague description of how his first comic book that he recalls reading. And he gave this crazy thing for what he could remember. There was something blue, there was something green, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, good luck in figuring out which comic it was, because he couldn't remember what comic. And then as I went back and I think I read the comments this morning, he was like, I figured it out. And it was a Green Lantern book. I don't remember which Green Lantern book, but there was a Green Lantern book that clearly had made such an impression on him that he remembers it from his childhood. And I think just last night or today remembered which book it was. So congratulations to him. I have some very early memories of Incredible Hulk, Plastic Man, and probably some Batman stuff. Those are some of my early memories of comic. Well, Batman was TV, but the others were comics. But Plastic Man and I remember these, and for the life of me, I cannot remember where I was first exposed to comics. Cannot remember for the life of me. Maybe at some point. At some point, I'll have a dream, and the dream will actually reveal all things to me. Chris Bigger says that was a big drop in grade. Yes, indeed, it was. And it could have been PGX to CBC. I'm sorry, PGX to CGC. That could have been the rationale for it. I don't know. But the crossover service is, I think, a great service, but you do have some disappointments like what we're talking about with this grade drop that someone brought up. So scrolling through comments here, trying to follow some of this stuff. Was Plastic Man on TV? Shut up. Tina says Plastic Man was on TV. Really? I remember the Plastic Man toy. I went to the School for Gifted Children. Sounds familiar, right? Gifted youngsters. But I went to the School for Gifted Children in Detroit, Michigan. And I remember that I played with Plastic Man in this school, and he was just super stretchy. I had another little jelly man that actually had jelly in him, and I stretched him so much that he popped over and all the jelly spilled out. Oh man. All right. So I'm scrolling through the comments here. A couple of people making he was on TV. Really? Really? I do not remember that. It's on YouTube. Now I've got to YouTube it now so that I can actually watch some of this stuff. That's crazy. I did not know that. Anyone remember the USA Channel Cartoon Express? You guys are bringing back crazy kind of memories. Stretch Armstrong. No, I think it was before Stretch Armstrong, though. This was, bro, I was born in 76. So this was probably what, like 80s or something like that I had this thing. Is it Stretch Armstrong? Maybe it was. I was such a young kid. I don't even remember that. Plastic Man was on Saturday morning. I don't remember that. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome for bringing back these wonderful memories. That was one of the things that was really cool about that Power of Comics video that I released yesterday, was that there were so many people that commented on that video that talked about their first comic or early comics that they remember being exposed to. But I think more importantly than the comics, so many people talked about the feeling that they had about the comics, and then also the people that gave them that book, or that book reminds them of. There were grandparents, there were mothers, there were several people that mentioned teachers. That to me is what that video was all about, was that comics are extremely powerful and don't necessarily get the credit that they deserve. And anything that has an impact on you that you can remember decades later, and it bring a smile to your face or even a tear to your face. In some cases, that's what it was for some people. But that is powerful. That is powerful. Something that can remind you of people and wonderful times with loved ones and significant others. That is powerful. And that's what that video was about. And I honestly didn't know what kind of responses I was going to see when I released that video, but I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I found myself smiling like an idiot several times as I was reading comments. But that's the nature of the beast, right? That is the nature of when you put something out there, how people respond to it, and I found myself grinning several times like an idiot. But that's why we do this. It's the fun of it all. It's the fun of it all. So Chris is making a comment here. It's funny how people talk about PGX grades and how they never talk about the videos out there of people having CGC comics over and undergraded. People should be fair. Why? Yeah. And some people actually made that comment here, Chris, in the room about the over and undergrading of books by CGC. And that's part of the reason why I was making the comment about the subjective nature of comics. And I was doing that in general terms because it can happen. People are fallible, right? People are human and people are fallible, and it happens, And in fact, there actually have been several videos as of late by people that have actually gone on and that have talked about how CGC's grading standards have slipped and how books are getting 9.6s and 9.8s that actually do not deserve those grades. And these are people that actually send in a healthy amount of books on a regular basis. And so what I didn't like was that I didn't really see examples of that, because I do better when I see an example. When someone's like, here's a fact, and you're like, boom, here it is. That I find helpful to me. But I would say that there is starting to be, in my estimation, more and more people that are actually talking about the fallible nature of grading companies as a whole. And it's not just a PGX thing. It is a CBS thing. It is a CGC thing. I mean, it's everyone is fallible. Everyone makes mistakes. And I think it's important that we point out not just the bad of these companies, but also the good, which is why I decided to do this video to talk about the fact that CBCS now has a 6-week turnaround time on the books. 6-week turnaround time for books. I think that is a wonderful, wonderful thing for the consumer. I think it's a wonderful thing for CBCS because it is a sign that they are starting to acknowledge some of the things that they need to improve upon. And I think that is always a good sign. So scroll down through some of the comments here to see what else you guys are talking about. Shazam. I don't know what you guys are talking about right now. Oh, Ultraman. Have you started seeing the new Ultraman on Netflix? I've been watching that a little bit. I've been watching that. Stan, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you, my friend. It's good to see you. So Eternal Thunder says his first comic was ASM 129. Come on, bro. Come on. You didn't have to go there. His first comic from Eternal Thunder was ASM 129, founded in his grandfather's basement after he passed. He found out later that it was his father's and he had his name written on it, although it kills the great. Whoa, that's deep. That's cool. That's cool. Again, the power of comics, man. I mean, this is an awesome story. And this is the kind of stuff, if you guys haven't read or haven't watched the video Power of Comics that I released yesterday, I definitely encourage you guys to go back and not just watch the video, but read some of the comments, because there's wonderful stories like this one from Eternal Thunder here, where he finds a comic in his grandfather's basement after he passed away, found out that book actually belonged to his father because his father had written his name in it. That's cool. That's some good stuff, man. That is definitely a very powerful comic book memory. So Webhead says that's dope. I started saying that recently. I'm bringing back it's dope. I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing that thing back. You guys are having a wonderful debate here about the various grading companies, which I think is great. I think as long as we can have debates that are constructive debates that are also civil, I say have at it, gentlemen and ladies, have at it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get myself out of here. I have a couple of things that we have to do today. I think I may take the children to play miniature golf. My kids have never played miniature golf, and they have these really little cute golf clubs at the miniature golf place for the kids. So it should be fun, and maybe I'll even swing by a comic book shop or something like that. So here we go. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to hang out with me today. When I started this thing, I didn't imagine that so many of you would actually join this live stream, but I want to say thank you for that. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for just just a little bit here. If you guys haven't checked out the videos that I've released already this week, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and watch those. I released 2 videos this week, and I think both of them are pretty good so far. And then I have a host of other videos that are going to be coming out for the next couple of days, always at 3:30. So if you guys need to reach me, feel free to do so at Regie Collects on Instagram and regiecollects@gmail.com. And I look forward to speaking with you guys very soon. Take care.